Welcome back to the S&T Football Podcast. This is your man Say. I'm here with my man Tom, and today we're talking about a very exciting. You could call it an ACC matchup because Notre Dame is in the ACC and all other sports other than football. But a ACC versus a FBS independent matchup. We have the Pittsburgh Panthers coming in at number 24 according to the playoff committee. The new rankings will come out tonight. We're recording this on Tuesday, so we'll have the new rankings come out tonight. But as of now, they're number 24 at home hosting the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, coming in at number 10 in the country. Both of these teams are 7-2 on the season. Both of them still have playoff aspirations. Both of them are still alive. So this is a very big matchup when it comes to that, the ACC race, and also the spot that Notre Dame is trying to claim in the playoff for the second year in a row. So a lot of implications here. Without much further ado, let me swing it over to my man Tom. Tom, take a crack at this matchup right here.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I was gonna say any other sport, this is an ACC matchup, but good old Notre Dame football continues to hold out, which I have my opinions about, but don't need to get into that right now. So yes, Notre Dame. It looked like Notre Dame had a shaky start, but as the season pans out, their two losses are actually still really good losses. Miami and Texas A&M both won 3-point games, I believe. Can't remember exactly, but it was either 3 or 6. It wasn't a big, both in overtime too, I believe, or maybe Miami wasn't.
They lost
Again,
by
doesn't matter.
they lost by 1 to A&M, and I think they lost by 3 to Miami. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Not important anymore, but yeah. Getting into the depths of the season, this is a must win for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh also has two losses. Their two losses are not as good as Notre Dame's either. They lost to West Virginia, who kind of hasn't really had the best season. They're kind of a typical West Virginia team in comparison to what they have been the last couple of years. So um, and then they lost to Louisville, which Louisville is looking like it's not going to be a terrible loss, but again, a loss is a loss, and the playoff committee is going to count that as a loss regardless. So this is kind of a win or go home for Pittsburgh, but poor Pittsburgh, man. I mean, poor Pittsburgh. Not really, but they play Notre Dame this week. They have them at home. Then they go on the road to Georgia Tech. That's going to be another huge ACC game for the conference championship of the ACC. And then to finish off their season, they play Miami, which again, that's going to be another big one. That it basically, if Pittsburgh wins out, they're going to be in the ACC championship, and if that happens, I would argue they might, if somehow they beat Notre Dame this week and then go on the road to Georgia Tech and beat Georgia Tech and then beat Miami to finish off the season. I think win or lose in the ACC championship, you got to give Pittsburgh a spot. But again, that's just going to be me. That third loss, if that third loss comes in the ACC championship, that's when the debate really begins on who deserves to be in and who doesn't. But it all starts this week with Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's been a solid team, man, a really solid team. They're run first, and they have a really good running back. Um, really good, just a really solid team. I mean, they competed with Texas A&M, like we said, it was 41-40, and that as much as I hate to say it, I think if Notre Dame wins out, they deserve a playoff spot. But equally the same for Pittsburgh too, just kind of looking down the road. But for this week, I do like Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame might end Pittsburgh's playoff hopes this week, but we'll see. I just think Notre Dame's the better team overall. Pittsburgh, I haven't watched a full Pittsburgh game at all, but their record shows that they can score points. The defense is a little iffy, so that's my main concern for Pittsburgh is that Notre Dame might just be able to run all over them just because they don't really have much of a good defense. And Notre Dame can still pass the ball too, but long story short, I think Notre Dame is just going to be the better team overall. And even though they're on the road at Pittsburgh, I I still like Notre Dame, and I think it's a must win for Pittsburgh, but unfortunately, I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off. So That's pretty much in a nutshell all I have about the game. I think Notre Dame's going to dominate the run game and dominate the clock. I don't know if it's even going to be close, but I've been wrong a lot this year, so we'll see. What do you think about this game this week, Saison?
Well, loved everything you said about it, Tom. Yes, I completely agree with what you said about Pittsburgh. So let me start with them. Pittsburgh is in an interesting situation. They've quietly gotten to this 7-2 type record, and no one's talked about them at all because they haven't really had any big games like that. They did have Louisville, who they lost to, but other than that, they've kind of been out of the spotlight or whatnot. Well, the spotlight is now on the Panthers. No one's talking about it, but they kind of have the biggest gauntlet left out of any team that I know of. Yes, they play Notre Dame this week. Then they go play Georgia Tech, one loss, big ACC matchup right there. Then they go play Miami. 3 games in a row. That's like whoa. Like yes, they're going to be an underdog in all 3 of these games. If somehow on a make a wish, dream that they win all 3 of these games, I don't see how you keep them out because anybody winning all 3 of those games. It was if it was Alabama that won all 3 of those games, we'd be like, oh, Alabama just went through a gauntlet. Like, how can you leave them out? Well, don't switch up when it's Pittsburgh. I know Pittsburgh has a bad loss against West Virginia, and that's probably one thing that I would argue against for them. But if they beat Miami, Tech, and Notre Dame this week, you got to make room. Like you have to move some teams aside because you got to make room for the Panthers because that would be very impressive. And then like win the ACC championship after that because of course if they win all 3 of those games, they're going to make it to the ACC championship. Um, like you said, if they lose that game, third loss, they have quite the argument. That's what I'll say. So very interesting for the Panthers. They basically do control their own destiny, even though it's quite the tough road ahead for them. But even if they win 2 of these games, let's say, if they get to the ACC championship, all you got to do is win that game and you're in. So everything is still ahead of them for the Panthers. So we'll see how Pittsburgh does this week against Notre Dame. On the other side, my least favorite college football team. Yeah, sorry for all the Fighting Irish fans out there. Not a big fan of Notre Dame. We've talked about it before because of their whole conference situation and whatnot, so I won't get into that too much. But for Notre Dame, it's a must-win for both teams, I say, because both of these teams can't afford another loss. Notre Dame has been on the brink ever since they lost to Miami, that second loss, because, like we know, they're not in a conference. So a 3-loss Notre Dame team is just not going to make the playoff because you don't play in a conference championship. You don't have a tough enough schedule or resume to say that you belong here with 3 losses. So they have to win out. They don't have another choice. And I think they know that. They knew that last year after they lost to Northern Illinois at home and then ended up winning out. Well, I think they kind of are going with the same mindset this season as well because they know they don't have much room for error. So Notre Dame is also on the brink. They have to win out, in my opinion. They can't lose another game. If they lose this week to Pittsburgh, that basically means they're done. So both of these teams need this game. Notre Dame has just been blowing teams out. They look really good. I can't lie. They're hanging up 40, 50 points a game on people, even though it might be like a Navy like last week or Arkansas a few weeks ago. They're just blowing teams out, and you can't argue with that. The 2 losses are really good. A&M, really good loss. Miami, that loss doesn't look as good anymore, and I think that is one thing that could be argued when it comes time to pick teams. But both of those losses are pretty good. They barely lost both of those games, so you have to take that into account. If they finish 10-2, Notre Dame is going to make the playoff. It's unfortunate for all of us Notre Dame haters, that don't want to see it, but they're going to make the playoff if they win out. It is what it is, and then we'll see what happens come postseason. But one thing I will say is, though, Notre Dame and the group of 5, like, those are the 2 biggest gripes I have with the playoff structure right now. And I want to know what you think about this, Tom. What do you think if we just classify, since they don't want to join a conference, right? What if we just classified the Fighting Irish as a group of 6 team? Excuse me, I need to start saying group of 6. What if we just classified them as a group of 6 team? That way, we don't have to include Notre Dame and Memphis, you know what I mean? Or Notre Dame and South Florida. We could just have Notre Dame. They are the group of 5 spot. Now the playoff looks that much better because we don't have just this, at least this season, just this irrelevant team that we know is going to lose automatically first round in the group of six. So why don't we just classify Notre Dame as a group of six? That way we can just eliminate both problems at the same time. I just think that's
Well,
the change we need to make, but we'll see what happens this offseason. Go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna say, I bet Notre Dame fans would love to hear that because that basically guarantees Notre Dame a spot every single year as long as they stay independent. Because just like let's put in hypotheticals here. So Notre Dame loses one of their last three games, right? They have three losses. Well, and then you have, I guess it's now the group of six. Um, if they had a team with three losses, but those three losses were also from a conference champion, what do you do? Because here you have a team that is in a conference and won their conference championship. Now, regardless, because obviously Notre Dame gets good talent and they have better players, usually year in, year out. I I think if that was the rule where we count independence as a group of six or whatever you want to call it, Notre Dame would get in basically every year. Because then all Notre Dame is going to do is they're going to continue to give themselves a little cupcake schedule, knowing that even if they do lose two games, like they'll give themselves two hard games like they usually do, which is fair. But I just think if that's the case, Notre Dame gets in every year over the group of six because the group of six is usually not that strong. Boise State was kind of an exception, and it's like because Boise State would have made it regardless. So I don't think we need to mandate either Notre Dame or a group of six team getting in. I think if they want to change it to just the straight up like 1 through 12 seeds, now that the rankings, like they don't do, oh, if you're a conference champion in the Big 12 you get a first round bye. Like no, they changed it now, so it's like it's 1 through 4 gets a bye no matter whether you played in a conference championship or not, which I do think is at the end of the day is going to cause a lot of problems as well. But before I get going too long on the college football playoff situation right now and the committee and all that good jazz, um, I do at the end of the day agree, though, that it would probably be better for college football if Notre Dame got included into the group of six. Because if you're not going to join a conference, you have to be, we have to classify you in some sort of way now that there's a 12-team playoff. Because if you're just not going to join a conference and continuously duck a conference championship, which again, I don't know why Notre Dame doesn't just join the ACC for football because they would probably run that conference.
I,
Like it wouldn't even really be close. Like it would probably be just Notre Dame's ACC
I was just going
for them to lose.
to run that conference. Like, there's no excuse for not, like, because like you said, even if we change the rules, Notre Dame will still probably make it every year. Well, they're already doing that, so it's like, why not just go ahead and do it? They're already making it every year. We saw them last year. They're probably going to make it this year. Why not just change the rule? I mean, I don't get it, but go ahead.
No, I mean, no, that was pretty much all I had to say. But it's like, I mean, if we're gonna make this rule where one group of six gets in and then X amount of teams from this conference, X amount of teams from this conference, and then Notre Dame just gets to sit on the outside and basically cherry pick and be like, well, we deserve to be in. We deserve to be in. Like, nah, I don't know. I don't know because the Big Ten, if Notre Dame joined the Big Ten for football, like good fucking luck making the playoffs. Excuse my French, but good luck making the playoffs if you're Notre Dame because
Yeah, they ain't doing that.
or the SEC, even the Big 12, shit, the ACC. I think if anything, it's Notre Dame being scared a little bit because I think they understand the importance of being able to make your own schedule.
Yep.
Making your own schedule and not having any conference that you're tied to, so you can cherry pick different teams from different conferences, and you can be like, oh, well, we always play Purdue. We always play. Well, it's like, well, why don't you always play? Like, let's always play Indiana now. How about we always play Florida State? How about we always play Miami? All the teams that they quote unquote always play, they seem to conveniently not schedule them when they get good. Like they wanted to schedule Florida State after Florida State started to suck. They scheduled Miami after Miami started to suck. It's kind of convenient, and then it warms my heart. Again, we're both Notre Dame haters here, but it warms my heart when you see Notre Dame go to Northern Illinois and think that, oh, this is just going to be a cakewalk. We're gonna win this game, no problem. And then Northern Illinois goes, I don't think so. Let's hand you a loss and let's ruin your entire season. Well, guess what, Notre Dame? That's what happens to almost every single team, unless you're Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, I guess. Even it happens to Georgia sometimes too. Oregon, you know what I mean? It's like these games happen to all teams every single year. So it just kind of bothers me when it's like Notre Dame gets to be like, oh, we're gonna play Northern Illinois and you know what I mean? Like you name the team, and then they want to like this year is a prime example. It's like they wanted to schedule Pittsburgh. Why? Why did they want to schedule Pittsburgh? I wonder why. Maybe because Pittsburgh has historically not been good, but they still want to have that little notch under their belt where they go, well, yeah, but they're in the Power Four conference now. They're one of the Power Four conference teams. But then you go and you play Texas A&M and you play Miami. You lose both of those games. Now, granted, they're close games. You lost close games, but those are your only two tough games all year. Like, I mean, yeah, okay. Their next toughest test was Navy, I'm pretty sure. Like, and well, I guess now it's Pittsburgh too, but it's at the same time, it's like you can't you keep scheduling these teams and counting them as quality wins. And granted, yeah, you beat Navy 49-10. Congratulations. It's Navy. It's Navy, guys. Even Navy joined a conference. Like Jesus Christ, like the military teams are in a conference, but Notre Dame gets a pass. I don't understand. I'm going on a rant here, so I'm gonna stop because I don't need to. I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to anymore because
Well,
again,
well said.
join a conference. Join a conference, Notre Dame. That's my last statement.
Agreed.